It is always best to follow Yah's created order and design. Hi, Spirit folks, we're 10 minutes toward day 2, the Torah portion Bereshit. And we're in the book of Bereshit, or Genesis, chapter number 2. It says in verse 1 and following, "Thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their array. And in the seventh day Elohim completed his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And Elohim blessed the seventh day and set it apart, because on it he rested from all his work which Elohim in creating had made." Yah initiates then a set-apart day that he favors and blesses above all other days. Previously, the first 6 days, if any mention was made, it was simply that Yah said, "It is good." That is, the things he completed on those days are good. The word being tov, T-O-V, in our transliteration. And that word means functional. He called it functional. That is, it functioned according to his design. Yah then calls the seventh day not only good and functional, but favored and blessed and set apart. Following Yah's created order and design pertaining to the Shabbat, the seventh day, is to then join with him and setting apart the things that he sets apart. We've had this ongoing generational, multi-generational issue where we want to sanctify and set apart things and call special and endearing and heartwarming and so on, that means something to us. And so we will set apart particular days or events, and we'll get all emotional and sometimes patriotic, sometimes religious, sometimes just celebrating family and so forth. And we get the warm fuzzies and we set that day apart. Well, it's your birthday. What do you want to do on your special day? Sometimes there's not anything really wrong with that. Other times it's like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? When it comes to the Shabbat, though, Yah is the one who has set this apart, as he has the feast days. And he invites you and I to acknowledge that, commands us actually to acknowledge that, and join with him in setting apart what he has set apart. To set apart other things, issues, events, days, etc., and then turn around and deny what he has set apart? Well, that's the fallout of created order and design, and it is no longer tov or functional, it is ra, or a, transliterated, or dysfunctional. If you want to look around for the source of dysfunction in our families, in our business, in our society, it is not setting apart what he has set apart, or setting apart the things that he doesn't care about, to the exception of what he has set apart. Think on that. Then we come to a little bit further in this chapter. It says that Yah, in verse 7, or Yahweh Elohim, formed the man out of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils breath of lives, multi-generations. The man became a living being, or another translation says a speaking spirit. So man is made from the mud of the earth. My term, he's a mud man. And this lifeless clay shell receives its life, its animation, its capability, its function by the very indwelling of the breath, the ruach, also known as the wind, the spirit of Yah. And so Yah's essence of being, he is spirit, and his essence of being is filling man and causing him to become alive. Yah's created order and design then is for us to live and move and have our being in him, not out of our own understanding. Lean not unto your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. So there is an understanding then that we need to move according to the breath, the animation of the Ruach HaKodesh. Romans chapter 8, a famous chapter with us, says that if we live according to the mud, we're going to reap death. But if we live according to his breath, we're going to have life. So are we mere clay bodies made out of the mud of this world, just slumbering along according to whatever inclinations that we have? Or are we animated, enlivened by, heightened by, given hope by, and light by his Ruach, by his Spirit? It says then that in verse 15, Yahweh Elohim took the man, put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and to guard it. Yah's created order and design is for us to work. That is, we have to find some sense of productivity. If you don't sow, you can't reap. If you don't invest, you can't increase. If you don't find labor, if you don't invest your abilities into something, there's going to be no return. We can't just simply sit back and wait and see what happens. Yah is looking for our investment, for our activity. Even in our prayer lives, just say, well, your will be done, amen. Pray your heart, pray your understanding, pray for the goals and the endeavors that you're engaged in. Pray for what you understand to be necessary, and let Yah begin to change and amend your prayers by his Spirit and inclination until you get in tune with him and in harmony with him, and you invite his investment and involvement into your daily affairs. That's the way prayer works. Yah's created an order and design is that man not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, but rather from the tree of life. Are we eating from the tree of life, or are we eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? What I think, what I feel, what I want, what I wish, what I yearn for is more important than anything else. That's the wrong tree, and it will bring about a curse of death. And then finally, we'll delve into this a little bit more tomorrow. He says it's not tov. It is not functional for man to be alone, but rather he needs companionship. Now, I don't want to go too far in this because, again, this is tomorrow's subject. But let's remember that all mankind was created initially in one body. That is, the female and the male identity was in one enclosure of mud originally. I remember the first time picking up the Stone Edition's Chumash, the commentary based on the Torah from a variety of ancient Torah commentators. It is indeed a rabbinical and Jewish perspective of the word. Picking it up, figuring out how to turn from right to left instead of left to right in the book, and reading an initial commentary statement that talked about that Adam, as originally was created, that he was both male and female, that both entities were in the same body, and only later were they separated. Yah is looking and yearning for you and I to find compatible companionship. And primarily this goes into the male-female relationship, because that's where it's functional, as it is set apart in a holy, set-apart relationship of a man and his wife. What's not functional is what our world, eating from the wrong tree, discerns and proclaims and promotes. Well, I don't even have to explain that. It's not functional. It's not created order. It's not created design. Continue to pray for Israel. Continue to pray for the IDF, the IAF to be vigilant, powerful, and overwhelming to Israel's adversaries. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem, of Jerusalem. And I'll see you again tomorrow. To then, shalom.